hello, and welcome everybody to Beyond Hegemony, where we discuss what's happening in the world, how hegemony has affected us, and how we can envision and live in a world that's beyond it. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And how do how do we heal ourselves after this extinction burst that is happening right now of hegemony? And if you don't know what an extinction burst is, it just basically means it's like a virus that's dying in your body that sends out toxins to make you sicker. But the more you heal yourself, the more you eat the right thing, the more you think the right thing and feel the right thing, it just eventually dies off. And let's just ponder on that for a minute. Who's ready for that? I am. I'm ready. So ready. So we have lovely Sahana back this week. Yay!
Thank
We missed you.
you.
We missed
Hurrah.
you, Sahana.
I missed you all. I so missed you all.
So
Hmm.
we decided to do a little bit something different today and put some prompts up that we could discuss as a whole. And please, anybody watching this now or on replay, please chime in. And as usual, we're really keen on having guests. I'm working on a couple of people right now. So hopefully by the next episode, we'll have some very interesting guests to come on with us. So yay. So Shahana, you've been gone the longest. Why don't you start us out with this? Garry, you want to put that prompt up?
Nice,
Yeah. So
nice and easy.
Okay.
just before we jumped into the live show, three of us were talking about terrorism, and we were pondering on the question of what is terrorism, who defines terrorism, and who gets to label someone a terrorist, and what does that all mean? So, coming from my very unashamedly global South experience, I would say that from a hegemonic, colonial, imperial, neo-colonial standpoint, a terrorist, terrorists, or a terrorist or many terrorists have been those people rising in resistance, rising in rightful resistance, rightful being the key word, against a foreign oppressor, invader, conqueror, settler colonial, and in my case, because I come from India, people who came as traders and merchants and then wanted to take over the country because they were so very lustful, greedy for the wealth in this country that they saw. So when people rightfully resisted, and first of all, there was cooperation because, oh, well, traders and merchants, we cooperate. Traders and merchants from a different foreign world, we learn together. So let's cooperate, let's learn. Let's also trade with them. Let's also show them our riches. Let's also partake and share and send our riches to the other side of the world. So that was how we started. Unfortunately for us, that did not go well. The rest is history. But all resistances, right from Quit India movement, which happened in 1942, very late in the day, after 200 years of colonial oppression, right from when it started in 1757, then in 1857, any resistance was labeled as not only terrorism, but as illegal,
Mm.
brutally suppressed, brutally oppressed. You all can read up about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre of absolutely innocent women and children in an enclosed place by General Dyer, who commanded that his armies shoot the people, just shoot. In a closed place, people who had gathered for prayer. So, but we were the terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
And the Britishers were self defending, you see.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
who is called a terrorist? When is resistance illegal?
Mm.
When is resistance termed as revolution and rebellion and antisocial and anything else that you all can think of?
Mm. Mm.
So basically, the power and control do not like resistance. The
Mm.
power in control will name all resistance as terrorism, whether they are students in the universities of the USA, just you know, pitching camps, tents to support Palestine, whether they are journalists in support of Palestine, which is the cause today,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so I would say if resistance is terrorism, I will proudly call myself a terrorist.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Whew. Break it down, Shahana. That's exactly. I put a meme up. It said, um, I define myself as a conspiracy theorist. My pronouns are told you so. Okay. Because because along with the word terrorist, conspiracy theorist is a misnomer. The person who is usually considered a conspiracy theorist is a truth teller. All right. They know the truth, they see the truth, or they can connect the dots and come to truth. And they're trying to tell people and wake people up. So the hegemonic playbook has not changed throughout time. Disenfranchise and then disinform and then what's the other D? I'm blanking out. What's the other D? Um,
Dismiss as
yeah, yeah,
irrelevant.
yeah, dismiss. And so basically making the person the crazy one, the the
Mm-hmm.
the
Dismiss.
the
Mm-hmm.
the one the one screaming at the top of the mouth, their voice, hey, they're tricking us, they're lying to us. They're the ones that are put into the hegemonic insane asylums that they created for dissenters. Okay, for anybody who said this is not right, they must be the crazy ones, right? And unfortunately, we haven't been indoctrinated into a mindset of jumping on the bandwagon because that makes us feel safe. Okay. So terrorists cause terror by any means necessary. But I'm talking about in the way that hegemony is actually the terrorists.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
It's like you talk a lot about like the ultimate gaslight, right?
Absolutely. I was just going
Like
to
like
say that.
like the
Yeah,
when people talk
yeah,
about gaslighting, this
yeah,
is the ultimate gaslight when you're literally someone can look at you in the face and tell you that you are the terrorist whilst they pick
Mm,
your pockets and steal your land.
mm,
yeah, yeah.
mm.
That's always been the story.
Yes.
So it's
That's
like,
been the playbook.
every what's the phrase? Every crime they accuse you of is exactly what they do.
Oh, ah.
That's exactly what.
They do. They're projecting, as we would say. They're
Yeah, it's a
projecting.
psychological issue. And I mean, if you all are following this latest development in Australia, the AUKUS AUKUS or whatever it is called,
Hmm.
a very, very senior diplomat, I'm forgetting his name. I'm terrible with names, but you can just find it. It's today's news. A very senior diplomat uh, who is from the USA or from
Hmm.
Australia, but who
Hmm.
was in China for a long time as a diplomat, as a foreign
Hmm.
diplomat, has very clearly said that it will be extremely foolish of Australia to side with the USA as a vassal state and not understand that its neighbors, whether it's China or India or Indonesia or Taiwan, are its neighbors. And Australia stands to lose purely because of US's absolutely crazy, he's used more diplomatic words, but basically what he means is US's crazy desire to constantly stay in power and stay on the top will not
Hmm.
only decimate Australia but the rest of the planet with it. And he's called it out that Australia will be extremely stupid to um, intercede on behalf of the USA into this whole China Taiwan affair. It's none of
Hmm.
US's business and it's
Yep.
none of Australia's business. And
Hmm.
the joke of it's not really a joke, it's I mean, it's gone on for so long we just know. I mean, USA will go three-fourths of the way around the planet, camp itself on someone's borders and scream we are threatened thousands and thousands of miles away from their own homeland and then scream about being threatened while they are literally threatening and completely surrounding China and other countries with their military bases. And then they'll
You
scream, oh, we are threatened, I'm so scared. It's this typical, white Karen syndrome.
you said it. You said it. First thing
My
that popped in my
God.
head was the U.S. and the U.K. and in the West in general are the Karens of the world. Like,
Walk in and say, oh, I'm threatened, ah." And until you feel like this juvenile delinquency has gone on for so long, grow up. Grow up. Grow the fuck up.
ah,
Wild.
ah.
Do you want to bring this to life a little bit, Trina, as well, around the video that you shared on LinkedIn earlier
Oh,
today? Because that sort of brings another lens to this.
yes. Richard Medhurst, which is a UK British citizen, was arrested at Heathrow coming back from a business trip. Well, he's a reporter, he's a journalist, and held and pretty much tortured for 24
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
on some bogus terrorism clause, supposed terrorism clause that he committed. And that's why I kind of wanted to talk about what is the definition of it, because this guy has a job, and his job is to report the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah.
Both of his parents were Nobel Peace winners, and he's grown up in a pretty um, articulate, educated, and you know people centered um, childhood, meaning being taught what is moral, what is right, what is just for humanity, not just for one country or another. So he's been reporting on Palestine, and of course, he's become a target because his voice is reaching a lot of people, and he's not reporting lies. As a journalist, you're supposed to have a code of ethics that you follow. And I say suppose because we all know as the years have gone by, the propaganda machine that is the West has distorted what journalism really is, you know, which is usually just is supposed to be an unbiased reporting of what has happened. But journalism or media has turned into an opinion piece rather than this happened, and it caused this to happen. And everything that is truth and everything that are facts are now trying to be distorted into opinion, which is not the same thing. Okay. And that's the part that really bothers me, that there's this narcissistic game that hegemony has played with us as the citizens of the world, and a world I would like to say is a free world, but it's not. It's not. We live as indentured people in one of the most stupid systems I can ever imagine, because the 1%, which I will throw in, 1% of the population is considered psychopathic. And just so happened that 1% of the population owns more than 50% of the wealth. It's a 1-to-1, baby. What do you think, Gary?
I think a lot. It's just so it's so wild, isn't it? Well, it's wild because I ran an experiment in the last 2 weeks with a couple of peers from within the chemicals industry, right, which are some of the most extractive, some of the most harmful, right? But we've all been brought up in this system. Again, no shame, no guilt. We're working our way through all this stuff. And what's amazing is we ran an experiment of what I'm calling culture spaces, which was basically a space within the corporate space where people can be brave, constructively challenging under a Chatham House rules environment and speak their truth from within the corporate sector. And the stuff that came out, like, you could just see the freedom that these people felt being able to just speak their truth and not be at the risk of losing their job by speaking it, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a tiny, tiny little release valve that I could see. This is not about trying to save these toxic sectors. It's not about trying to change capitalism to make it more generative. Like, that's ridiculous. It's collapsing. Yeah. Like, whatever comes from the embers will come from the embers, right? But what I saw, going beyond hegemony, Sahana and Trina, there are a lot more people that want to be in this dialogue, but just do not know how or feel safe to get into it. They don't know how to access it. And that's why what we're doing is so damn important, because to see a few different people from very different contexts having an adult conversation without judgment, without blame, it just doesn't exist in the business world. It doesn't exist, because everything's about, we must win, we must dominate, we must control, we must take over, we must be the one. Yeah. And funny enough, 99% of people know that that's not sustainable, inverted commas. No matter how good your sustainable development goals are, or how good your carbon footprint is, blah, 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 right? At the end of the day, more people are waking up, more people want to be in this dialogue. And I think it's really interesting timing that we're on this journey the last 6-7 months together, because people need this. We need this. But people need a space like this to be able to express fully and to get rid of those toxins, as you said, Trina, that we're all carrying around with us, right? So we've all been given them multi-generationally.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We're definitely, it's just trickle down trauma. That's what we've been experiencing for centuries now. And if you cultivate a polymathic mind and you start to study the history of the hegemony and where it came from in its center, you can see how utterly toxic they were to their own people, from the very beginning. And the riots right now happening in the UK and other parts of the world, it's not just UK, but places where they have dipped their toes in it, and I'm being generous, where they have basically imposed their way of thinking and will through fear and violence, through terrorism, through funding terrorist groups. All these things are methodological and it's been a playbook. But what I see differently is, like you said, there's 99% more than this 1%, and we're waking up. And they're somebody posted something about how Trump ridicules his followers and calls them names and thinks they're stupid. And because generally they will undermine themselves, and almost in a possessed way. And if you don't think hegemony is not laughing at you because you're following their toxic way of doing things, you are mistaken. There is no big brother, there is no daddy and mommy. All those structures are fallacies to perpetuate trauma so that you can be enough in fear and enough needing and desiring and craving the validation that you should have gotten in life, in a peaceful life, with embracing compassion, love, understanding, teaching of good values, the things that Native and Aboriginal people had before they left their country. Yeah. So yeah, it's
This
a lot to
also,
digest.
yeah,
Hmm.
and this also, Trina, Gary, what you all was saying, and it's maybe because I'm back after a long time and my brain has slowed down and processing slowly.
Mm.
So, what I was sensing into was almost so to continue the metaphor of a disease, virus that you've used, Trina.
Mm.
See, any disease, any virus especially, we all know, has a life cycle, okay?
Mm-hmm.
A virus, once it infects the host, has a life cycle. It comes, it attacks, it spreads, it peaks, and then antibodies and antitoxins are created by the host body. And then gradually the virus is decimated. But it has
Mm-hmm.
a life cycle. So I'm all, and to extend that metaphor, I think this collective virus of imperialism, empire, colonialism, neocolonialism, and everything that it has spawned, neoliberal capitalism, necrocapitalism, the kind of politics that it has spawned, the kind of people who have risen to power because of the kind of politics, because of the glorification of this overly competitive, overly individualistic, overly selfish glorification of those traits that are actually have been imposed, structured into the story to keep people divided, to keep people, like blinkered horses, so that you can neither see left nor right and can't judge for yourself. So, those have been all the virus's ways of penetrating every system, institution, the body
Hmm.
politic, the
Mm-hmm.
human body, the living body of the planet, and all the body politic realm. And
Right.
now that it has reached a certain stage of its cycle, it is kind of the body politic has created its antitoxins, the antidotes, the
Mm-hmm.
antibodies. And the antidotes and antibodies and the antitoxins are there in the form of, the movements, the people waking up, the conscious people, the kinds of dialogues we are having. Now, these are coming up, and the virus knows it has run its course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
more antitoxins and antidotes and
Mm.
antibodies we create, and the more we connect up as nodes of antibodies across the planet, the less and less chance the virus has of surviving. And
Right.
the people it has spawned, the 1%, will, oh yeah, they will throw a tantrum, they will throw a fit, they will throw their, walled cities and gated communities and every damn thing they can buy with their money. But there's only so much they can buy with their money.
Yeah.
They're
Oh.
already lost. They're already lost because they're inherently so very poor. that they have to throw wealth around to feel good about themselves. They
That's
have
right.
to throw wealth around to even feel remotely human. Even in their costliest of diamonds and I don't know what they wear, but maybe Prada or whatever, maybe something even more exotic, who knows? Who cares? But even then, they can't feel an iota of self worth. And everything that they shower on the rest of the 99%, whether it is the homeless, where a governor is shown literally throwing the homeless person's things around. What kind of worthlessness you must be feeling inside to do that to someone who is homeless? I mean, imagine the level of worthlessness I feel as a human being to be able to do that. And that
Absolutely.
worthlessness in this 1% has become so visible that they can't run away from it.
Mm,
And we as humanity, I would say, as humanity, have become stronger because we have developed the antibodies to this disease. It's like,
mm,
you get smallpox, then you come out of it stronger and able to
mm,
resist smallpox
mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm.
chickenpox or whatever you have. So I believe as the body politic of this planet is much as weird as it sounds in the face of climate collapse and everything, is still becoming stronger. The voices we hear today in the numbers we hear today, we didn't hear 10 years back.
Yeah.
We sure didn't. We sure didn't.
3 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Not even no, because things are still operating. I have a feeling, Gary, you were about to say something. You're itching
No,
to
that
say
was
something.
no. That I just wanted to build on Sahana just to say it really feels even more recent. The sort of the accelerant.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it absolutely. It's. Ooh. I had someone say to me, um, a British woman, a British Black woman, say to me last week. I was in my garden, kind of tending and showing her, and also I have built this kind of a medium for tape myself, like for a countertop island, kitchen island, because I have this deplorably small kitchen, and I need more counter space because I make my own almond milk, I grow my own vegetables, I do these things because I know the mind body spirit connection to our enslavement that I know that they have been purposefully poisoning us for a very, very long time, and some would even say genetically modifying us, right? So she said to me that, oh, you are about 10 years ahead above everyone else. And I said, well, I've been hearing that since I was 16. You know, what I want in my neurospicy self is for everyone else to wake up, because what's happened is people like me, you, and Shahana are all scapegoats and have been scapegoats for a very long time until now.
Yep.
And people are like going, oh, well, maybe she wasn't um, wrong, you know, about A, B, C, and D. Um, but the crazy part is how much the rest will attack people who are actually genuinely trying to save their lives, genuinely trying to make the world a better place, because they have been programmed with this level of discomfort that they've made comfortable. You know, do you even know who you are? Is my question to a lot of my clients. Who are you? And the first thing they'll do is throw out titles, or they'll throw out things they think I want them to hear or whatever. And then finally, it always comes to, I don't know. I don't know who I am. You've been on this planet 20, 30, 40, 50, 70 years, and you have no idea who you are, you know? So that's a very profound question people should be asking themselves. Who am I without the job and the title? Who am I without the roles? Who am I, without these comforts, supposed comforts? And try to figure that out. You know, so it.
And I think coming from the kind of imposed,
Mhm.
artificially imposed sense of self that a large part of the globe suffers under. Why I'm saying artificially imposed is because the whole narrative of hegemony and the way it has unraveled over the
Mhm.
years, right, in the 500 or odd years, has created this sense of self as acquisitive, competitive, quote unquote, success chasing, whatever success means, um,
Mhm.
uh, materialistic, thingified notion where if I have less and I'm satisfied with less, whatever less again means,
Mhm.
then I'm seen as a loser or I'm
Mm.
seen as having dropped out of the race, or as someone who basically couldn't make it.
Mm.
Okay, and
Mhm.
totally ignoring the fact that not everyone was born with a crave for materialistic. First of all, no one was born with this crave, it was created. So, one of
Exactly.
the notions of hegemony is to create this resourcification of everything. So,
Mhm.
first you break up communities, you destroy communities, then you turn childcare and baby care into a resource that you have to pay
Mhm.
for. You destroy families, then you turn family counselor as some kind of a person who will glue you back together.
Exactly.
You destroy the sense
Ah.
of self of every individual living, and then you try to sell them clothes, shoes, undergarments, I don't
Whoa.
know, some
Everything.
weird bras, weird, God knows what else, just to make people feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
And then when someone comes up and say, hey, you know what, I feel
I feel
fabulous
great.
about myself without any of your things. I buy the
Yeah.
cheapest possible clothes, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then they are at a loss because, oh my God, this person cannot be marketed to. This person cannot be
Mhm.
thingified.
Mm.
This person
Mhm.
doesn't care for brands. And
Yeah.
I remember a very funny conversation because this triggered it. So I rarely go to malls. I haven't visited one in the last 6 years, but 6 years prior to that, I'd gone to a mall and I was just walking around. I didn't mind doing that. I'm not, I have nothing against an occasional mall 50 miles away from each other and, an occasional stopping into a coffee shop. And I just remember walking into a Nike store and they came as usual, the salespeople. I was just looking around and came with a pair of shoes, which, at least according to me, cost a horrendous amount. And they were trying to make me buy it. And I said, look, I'm just looking around because, well, I was walking outside and it was hot and this is air conditioned. So I've just walked in for the AC. It's okay. I'm
Mm.
not going to buy anything. And they were like totally taken aback. And they were like, no, madam, this, that, whatever. I said, look, why will I pay what they were charging me was about some 10 or 12 grand Indian rupees. Why will I pay 12 grand for a pair of shoes, undoubtedly comfortable, but to flash your brand, that Nike, whatever thing,
Exactly.
as doing free advertisement for you, when I can buy similarly comfortable shoes for 500 rupees? I refuse to do free advertisement for any brand.
I
There
love
you
that.
go.
I love that.
There you go. And
And
it's,
why
you
are
know
you
what?
asking me to advertise your brand and then pay you for it? Am I mad?
No, it's you know what it is?
Why?
They create a problem. This is what hegemony has done. This is the pattern. They create a problem to be the supposed heroes and or capitalism heroes to your woes. And there's a word that a lot of people don't know, probably just like the word hegemony. I am so happy it is making traction. I've heard it so much more than ever before. But epistemological, it's a lot to say,
Mhm.
thinking, okay? It's a type of philosophy that basically is critical thinking. It's breaking down the why on layers. Why would I, you said it, why would I advertise for you for more money, not make that money and put it in my pocket, but put it in your pocket, than just buying a comfortable pair of shoes
I
for
don't give a damn about your
nothing.
brand.
You
And
know,
then,
I put it up there because I want people to start thinking in this way. This is how I've always thought. And a lot of people have never even heard that word before, but it was a very important part of our antiquity.
I mean,
It was a part of our antiquity thinking. Our scholars,
yes,
our philosophers, we broke things down
the entire
to
Socratic dialogue was around that, right? The why of
exactly,
thinking.
yeah.
And
And
then
then
you
we
go and have this inane, what is that one liner? I have nothing against Nike. I don't care about Nike, but their one liner, what is that? Just
Oh,
do it.
just do it.
just
Yeah.
just
I mean,
do
why just
it.
do it? Why couldn't it be kind, be thoughtful, think through, be compassionate, take care,
Because just
just
do it
be
frees up
aware, be conscious. Why just do it? Just do what? For heaven's sake.
for
Just
no
don't do it.
reason.
Just don't
Just
do it.
should
Just
be
don't do
just
it. Stop.
how
Think.
about think before you speak and look before you leap. How about that? There's a whole
Anything. It could have been anything. I mean, if you have a reach like that, take care of the earth.
yeah,
Anything. Since your
Yeah.
yeah.
feet is hitting the earth, something that resonates. Just do what? Go murder? Anything could be just do it. You go murder, rape, just do what for heaven's sake? The
Well,
most
that
inane one liner ever.
yeah, and they promote that to promote the chaos, to promote the feeling of validation of people who are psychopathic. You know,
Yes.
I
I mean, if you look at
I
all the brands, that's all they're promoting. First, they promote psychopathology, then they
mhm,
promote a kind of inferiority complex in you, then they
mhm,
promote their products to raise your inferiority complex five
mhm,
notches higher,
mhm,
and then
mhm.
they'll
Mhm.
promote their more expensive products to make you feel better till you don't. And then you realize it's all hogwash.
So if I may add, I just want to like looking beyond hegemony. Then, like, what an amazing opportunity, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Overnight for the executive
Overnight,
committees, the senior leaders,
just
the
change your
financial services
lives.
CEO. Today, they can flip their business model, the way they think, if they had this type of
Yes,
thinking
yes.
overnight.
Mhm.
Today, this minute, they could flip to
Imagine if
generative thinking.
Apple,
Boom,
yes,
gone.
imagine if Apple came out with one liner. We are committed to eradicate, we are committed to eradicate, what is that word? Um, op, what is that?
Oh,
Obsolescence. Their
obsolescence. Yeah,
product.
yeah, yeah.
Epilepsy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We are committed to make our products last for a decade. We are committed
Yeah.
to repairing. We are committed to regenerating. We are
Mhm.
committed to creating less in the
Mhm.
service of life.
Mhm. Well,
But
psychopaths
no,
don't understand that. Psychopaths
oh,
just
they
want to.
do. They do.
No,
They don't just care.
they understand that they don't have morality to care
Yes.
about us as or the planet or anything that is sustainable.
Yeah.
They care about padding their coffers so that they supposedly see that's the insanity. They plan for a future that is unseen. You know, they plan and don't you think it's about their family, it's about a quote unquote legacy. If I hear that word one more time, and I hear that in the patriarchal circles as well, you know, I want a legacy, no, you want to screw as many women as possible and
Exactly.
get away scot free, you know, and and have your pleasure in the moment. That's why all these isms are so intricately woven into hegemony, you know? And so if we had this type of thinking, um, this Socratic type of thinking, we wouldn't have the problems that we have in the world. We really wouldn't, because it would seem like utter insanity. It would be insanity to keep doing. The thing is what is the sign of insanity? To keep doing the same things and keep expecting another result.
Exactly.
This is 100-year cycle, what they keep doing. And every single time there's a rebellion, and every single time we say no, what the hope is, they keep killing off as many people as possible and creating more berserkers, through alcohol, through trauma. The trauma is what's increasing, and also our knowledge of it. So anyways, we're getting close to time. We really went into it this time. Wow, 41 minutes. We're way over on time today. So any last thoughts before we sign off here?
Sahana.
Now, Garry, you're on the hot seat.
I'm on the hot seat.
You start.
Yeah.
I've been talking too. Come on.
We've been talking way more.
We've been talking. You've been quiet, so you need to.
Not at all. Not at all. No, I'm just really appreciative, as always, of both of you and the space. And I hope people are getting value if they're watching and listening back. And what I'm really observing, I don't know about both of you, but I feel it in my body that it's, even for me, and I think with us, it's becoming an even more generative, fluid dialogue and exploration and dot connection exercise. When we started this, those months ago, it's a real experiment. Let's see how it goes. And it's gone from this really beautiful sort of like, here's a few jigsaw pieces. Let's try and see how they may go together, to like, here's 1,000 jigsaw pieces already made up. And you see exactly what they look like. And now let's deconstruct them and put them back together.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's in a matter of months. And that's just 3 of us. So I'm taking away from this conversation in particular, the possibility of people, we're not saying that everyone has to go and become, an incredible, I hope they do, but if you can become an activist within your context, that could be you, an act, and I'm saying this from someone inside the corporate space, be the person that creates space for others to show up. Because if you can do that in your context, whether it's your church group, your community group, your family, the organization you work for, the clients that you serve, please consciously think about how you can create the space for others to show up in their fullness, because that will ripple in an incredibly powerful way. And that is an act of activism, I believe. So that's what I'd like to leave us with.
Okay, wonderful. Sahana?
Yeah. So connected to hegemony, I write a lot about decolonization, right? I speak a lot about it, write a lot about it. Lately, in the last 2 months that I've been away and kind of marinating in all these thoughts, I've come to believe, and I'm still forming the thoughts, that decolonization is perhaps not the right framing. Because once colonization or whatever has happened, it has come down, it is there, its seeds are there. And, it's whatever it is planted in the last 500 years or more years, humans colonized the planet and all of that. It is still growing and it will grow. What is perhaps emerging from all of these, and the cracks and the crevices and the boundaries that colonization created, the boundaries between nation states, the borders, the walls that Trump tried to build and people like Trump tries to build, keeping away immigrants and this and that. I believe actually that they are the fault lines. Those are the cracks and fissures that, just as colonization had its intended consequences, grabbing of land, stealing of resources, enslaving people, indentured labor, all of that, it also has unintended consequences of cultures coming together, civilizations coming together, complete strangers meeting at borders,
Mm,
different cultures colliding at borders, not to fight, but to cooperate and learn. And that is
mm,
happening in the cracks and fissures.
mm,
So you have, so for example, there is a tiny village in Gujarat, and I've gone there, so I'm speaking from first-hand experience, where everyone, and it's a small village, maybe group of 3,000 people now, or maybe a little more. I don't know the exact number of people. Everyone looks like Nigerians,
mm-hmm,
Africans. Okay,
mm-hmm,
they migrated from there, they settled there, they still continue with their rituals and everything. So people go there to see and experience, and they are inside India, in Gujarat. Okay, so that kind of cultural confluence have been unintended consequences. And for example, the immigrants in Britain today dates back to 200 years, ever since Britain started, colonizing other countries.
mm-hmm,
So the unintended consequence was they have a lot more colored people than the British governance would like. But hello,
mm.
you came, you took, you distributed people, so they ended up on your shores because, well, you came to our shores. And now you suddenly realize, oh my God, we have so many browns and blacks, and it doesn't look as lily white as it used to. But that is the fun part. So colonization's unintended consequences has actually created a pluriverse that they didn't want.
Oh, wow. What? Oh gosh, that's so good. I love that. I now how do I explain my part of this? What I had so many things pumping in my head, but one of the things that I just want to end what I on this thought for myself. The the internal shifts that you make within yourself are going to determine which way to look at that scenario as a positive or as a negative. If you're still in a fear based, egoic state, you're going to be in fear. You're going to say that they're taking something that really isn't yours to take. The planet is herself. We just live upon it. And if we change our mentality internally, if you gain insight, if you enlighten, you notice all the words that are focused on healing are inwards. Sorry. Petra, come sit down. Sorry, my dog is yelling
No,
at me.
that's, yeah, no, that's our
So
pluriversal world.
yeah. So it's amazing how much what your internal state will determine on what you think about everything
Yep,
else.
yep.
So that's why this hegemony purposely tries to disconnect you or even colonize you internally with garbage, with messaging, with capitalism, with self-hate. So my wish to everybody who is listening to this, please go in and determine which type of world you want to live in. One where you fuss and fight and beat people up, which is a reflection of you beating yourself up, or one that's loving, caring, which will be a reflection of you. Okay? So, anyways, everybody, I got to jump on a call with a client, and I hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you for joining us.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah.